Hey, I'm online with George Guthrie from Catholic Care Center in Bel Air, a suburb of Wichita, Kansas. And we're going to talk a little bit about how this senior living community um, was looking for some options for connecting their seniors with families in the midst of COVID-19. So, George, welcome. Good to see you this morning.
All right, thank you, Steve. Glad to be on with you.
So early on in this, all of us were pretty involved, and we've heard a lot about senior living communities and some of the ways they've been shut out, literally from the world for a long time. And I know, boy, it's been 6 or 7 or 8 weeks ago. You guys came to us looking for an option for connecting those residents. So describe a little bit where you guys were at that time, some of the maybe the things that your residents were facing, you as staff were facing as that initial shutdown came around.
Okay. Yeah, early on when the first word, I guess the pandemic was hitting hard here in the country, and this was early March. I actually was, I think, I had
Hmm.
grandkids, and communicating back and forth with our leaders here at Catholic Care on what we could do to help our residents here connect with their families. And I know early on they connected with you at Orion, asking you, what are some of the things that we can do, and I know you discussed several different options, and we decided Teams was probably what was best for us. And so, we made plans to get started on that. We went and bought a bunch of laptops so that we could use them mobily in all the different resident areas. We have 6 of those in our long-term care area and 2 of them up in our assisted living area. And we, I guess, work with you guys on getting them all set up for us, and then telling us, showing us how we could, make the system work. And we went from there and started training our staff on how to use them.
So talk to me a little bit about the size or the scope of your community there. You mentioned long-term care and your assisted areas. Talk about the areas you have, and if you can talk about the number of residents you have throughout the community.
Okay. In our long-term care area, we have about um, 20 residents that are normally in our rehab post-acute area, and then we'll have generally about another 130 to 140 in our long-term care areas, and we have 6 different neighborhoods that we have that spread out in. So generally we run, 160, 165 residents there. In our assisted living, we're separated with a memory care assisted living and then just normal assisted living. We have 60 residents in our what we call normal, I guess, assisted living, and then our memory care area, we have we're not staff. We have about 40 residents that live there.
And you have independent living as well as part of the community?
We do have independent living community as well, which we have, in the neighborhood, I think, of about 160 residents up there.
Okay.
The independent, they're not, on, I guess we're not working with them on Teams as they're
Right.
work. Most of them have iPhones and things like that, and they're probably FaceTiming and things like that up there. So I don't know of any of them using Teams actually.
And remember, as we talked about coming up with options, the general discussion was around video conferencing, and we know there's a lot of them that require special tools or are intrinsic to a certain platform. I remember talking to Brenda, I think it was, that one of the comments she made was one of the products that's Apple based is great, but her mother, for example, doesn't carry an Apple, and so she was trying to think of the residents of what could be more um, broad use. I think tell me a little bit about how using Teams then you're able to connect then not just to your residents using those laptops, but as far as the experience with the families as you're connecting them.
Okay. Yeah. Again, like you said, we have found most of our residents probably don't have a cell phone, period. Probably limited number that have an Apple product at all. Um, so having, most everybody, as far as family members, do have some type of a laptop or desktop unit that has a camera on it. So it made it, very easy for us, I guess, to get these laptops that we brought in, and we put them on a mobile cart basically, and use them, with our wireless network in here. And we schedule the appointments, and what's also great with it, with Teams, is you can do multiple family members, and so we've had 2-3 different family members at a time connect with our residents here, their family member or friend. I guess I shouldn't just limit that to family members. And I'll tell you, it's been a very emotional thing for them. The ones I've been personally involved with, at the beginning, I mean, they cried. The family members cried. The residents here cried when they were able to connect. They were so happy that they were able to have that face to face. So it's I say face to face. I guess it's really not face to face. At least they are seeing a face on the whatever type of device they're using.
It's as good as it gets for now. So, any particular stories that struck you? I know in general, like I said, I've got to imagine it's a very emotional connection when they can't have that physical connection. And any particular stories with a family? I know you can't divulge names or anything like that, but can you think of one that really struck you?
Really, 2 of them that did on the same day, and it's some of the first ones that I did. The first one was able to connect with a resident with 2 family members, and this resident had some limited abilities. So I was really wondering how well they would connect even with this tool. Um, and it was just amazing. I mean, as soon as they saw their family member, on the screen, they just started smiling, and then the tears started coming, and then it flowed the other way as well. And the first one was with a daughter and a granddaughter of the residents. So it was just a close personal experience for them, and really brought a lot of joy to them. And then I really went right directly, when that was finished, to another resident in the same area, and it was a daughter and the mother of that daughter that connected as well. And with the elderly, a lot of them do have some limited abilities, but it just being able to see their family member changes all of that. They don't forget that experience of seeing their family members. So really means a lot to them.
That is awesome to hear. That is fantastic. I know just with my limited use with family that we do have distance with, it is great to be able to make that connection, and even to get the virtual kiss from the granddaughter once in a while.
Yeah. And we're using these all around the clock here in all the different areas, and we have several different nurses and social workers, and I mean all around, that have learned to use these. And it's like anything, it's a learning process at the beginning, but man, once you get it down, it's pretty easy, simple thing to use. So.
Well, you mentioned at one point not just the expansion within there, but sounds like you're starting to use Teams beyond just the resident care. Talk to me a little bit about some of the things that this has helped you expand beyond connecting residents and families.
Okay, we have also used this. We usually have a monthly board meeting, and because of the pandemic, we haven't been meeting face to face for that here, and we've been using Teams to communicate with our board members here at Catholic Care as well. Also, we are involved with some different vendors on different situation, architects, things like that. And we have, and it's gone both ways. We have some of them have used Teams they've initiated, and then we've also initiated as well. So it's really been a great experience being able to communicate with so many people.
Kind of thrown into it, but now it sounds like becoming more part of not just regular care, but regular business as well.
Yeah,
Very good.
once we got into this, we really realized, the pandemic made us kind of move this direction, but it's probably stuff we should have been doing all the time anyhow. It's steps we could have taken earlier, and that we'll continue to take, that'll, keep our residents communication with their family members, because not all of them live locally here, so they're a distance away, and this will make it easier for them to communicate with them that even after this, that don't live here.
That's a very good point. I'm glad to hear that. Some great ways to think about going forward with it. So very good. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing that, and thank you to the Catholic Care team for taking this ride with us. Any last thoughts before we close out here?
No, I would just encourage everybody to get on board with this. It's a great way to communicate, and as I said, it's something I guess we really think about now that we'll continue with, even when this pandemic is, I don't know if it'll ever be over, but close to normal as we can ever get, we'll still continue with it, I'm sure.
Fantastic. Well, George, thank you for your time this morning, and continue to keep everybody well. I know you guys have had great success with your infection control there. I was so pleased to hear that, and thank you so much for your time this morning.
Okay, thank you, Steve, and thank you for bringing us to teens.
Thanks, George.
Take care.